Hello and welcome back to r/Entitledparents. Our first story today comes from user SymbolMonkey. I was out at my local mountain bike trail centre yesterday. It was a Sunday, dry, nice day, lots of families out. There's a run maybe about 30 metres, consisting of 4 or 5 berms, tight turns with high banks, and then a jump. It's a really good jump for practising on, so I'm doing little loops here. There was a woman standing on top of the first berm, 30 metres away from the jump. This is mildly important information. Taking pictures and not actually watching the mountain bikes coming towards her. This is a super dangerous place to be. If someone comes in wide on the berm or slides over the crest, they're taking her down with them. She's not technically in my way though, so I just kinda think, your funeral, and get on with my riding. I do a few loops on this little stretch, and then after maybe 4, there's a toddler, basically as young as I've ever seen someone ride a bike without training wheels, whatever age that is. And maybe a 6-year-old, just kind of frolicking on top of the jump. I yell, "Move out of the way!" a few times, but they don't. I swerve off the trail, come to stop, double back, and tell them, in a tone I would describe as very stern but not scolding, that hanging out not moving in the middle of a high-speed mountain bike trail is not only dangerous for me, but extremely dangerous for themselves. At this point, Berm Lady is jogging over, screaming, not yelling, screaming, "Do not talk to my children like that!" So I tell her, or attempt to, she's just repeating her screaming at me at this point, that I wouldn't have to talk to her children if she had been keeping them safe, or had taught them how to stay safe in what is an inherently dangerous environment. At this point she says, "I'll knock you flat!" At which point I tell her I will defend myself if she attempts to touch me or my bicycle in any way. She then plays the victim and says, "I can't believe you'd hit a woman." "I can't believe you'd threaten me," I tell her. For reasons I still really don't understand, at this point I began trying to explain just how dangerous her children's behaviour was, not just for me, but for themselves. But she keeps shouting, "Who do you think you are?" I say, "My name is name," but she cuts me off with, "I don't care who you are." So I asked her, "Then why the F do you keep asking?" She then demanded I apologise to her daughter for swearing, and I told her she'd lost the right to ask me to do anything and expect me to accommodate when she threatened me. She repeats her demands, and over her non-stop screaming, I attempt to tell her that I promise hearing me say F is a lot less dangerous to her toddler than being mowed down by a mountain bike. Now folks, I was trying to think up a good response and a good reaction to this post for a good few minutes, and then I decided to read some of the comments on this post, and so I've decided that instead of giving you my own insightful commentary, I'm just going to show you this comment from username No Good Usernames LFT99. Some people are just too stupid to realise they are in the wrong. Our next story comes from user rednryt. I had visitors a few weeks ago in my new house, and some of them brought their kids. Lots of little kids aged 9 and below. Anyway, I tried to be a gracious host. I entertained the kids and let them play in my video games, Nintendo Switch, so that their parents and my parents can have time to talk and enjoy company of each other. The kids pretty much enjoyed Splatoon 2, and 4 of them can play at the same time. My house was filled with laughter of kids. And for breakfast, since they came early, I decided to leave the kids playing and the adults with their conversation, and I prepared chicken soup. I slipped tiny slices of carrots and cabbages, same recipe as how my mum does it, to make it healthy for the kids. By the time I finished, I was surprised to see that one of the parents is now playing and the kids are now just watching. Anyway, I called them over to the kitchen and served them breakfast. The adults let the kids eat first, since I have a small dining table, only seats up to 6 person. Before I continue here, is it just me, or is having chicken soup for breakfast a very bizarre, strange thing? At least here in Scotland, soup isn't normally something that's consumed for breakfast. Anyway, back to the story. The kids loved it. After a while, one of the kids asked, "Uncle, this tastes so good. What's your secret?" I was overwhelmed. It's my first time cooking for other people than myself. So feeling like a pro chef, I explained that I blanched the veggies so that when I put them in the soup, they retain their crisp. The kids are so amazed that they actually just ate carrots and cabbages. They said they hated this thing. So now they're all gathering around, eager to see what I cook next. Haha. They are now very eager to taste the rest of the veggies in my fridge. So I told them I'll stir fry noodles topped with veggies for lunch using a Chinese recipe I learned from my dad. I showed them string beans, sweet potatoes, eggplant, bitter melon, garlic, and some onion. I was surprised that some of them don't even know what they look like. Yes, they know the name because they say they learned them from school, but they didn't have a chance to see it in person. Anyway, as I showed them how to cut, but didn't let them touch the knife because I was afraid they'd lose a finger, one of the parents saw them and screamed at them. She brought them out of the kitchen, and as they left I can hear the kids so eager to tell stories about vegetables. So I proceeded on cooking, and when it's time for lunch, I called them over. This time around, the adults should eat with us. So I took some extra chairs, and I allowed some of them to eat on the couch. Now the kids are all excited to eat my veggies, except one. All the other kids kept asking each other how it tastes like, and they all exclaimed how delicious it was. One even said it doesn't taste like any veggies she's ever eaten before. But one of them was quiet and had an empty plate, so I asked him, "Why aren't you eating? Don't you like it?" Poor kid, I can see that he wants to say something, but he glanced at his mum instead. Entitled Mother says, "He doesn't eat vegetables." I say, "Oh, okay. Is he allergic or something?" Entitled Mother says, "Nope, he's just a very picky eater." I say, "Oh, why don't you have a bite and just don't finish it if you don't like it?" I said to the kid, and the kid just glanced over at his mother again. Entitled Mother says, "If only you knew how hard I tried to force him to eat them, but no, he cries his eyes out and throws his plates." I say, "Okay, shall I cook you something else then? Bacon? Fried chicken?" Entitled Mother says, "Just don't bother with him. I'll just cook him some eggs." I gave up encouraging the kid to eat and just ate lunch myself. After the Entitled Mother was finished, she went over my fridge and decided to take a tray of eggs out and started cracking them one by one. I asked her if she needed any help, but no, she insisted on cooking herself. She even said I must be tired of all the cooking, so I should just relax. Okay, so I left her and joined the kids. They still keep on asking how I did it, like it was some sort of magic. I envy their innocence. How fun would it be to experience life as a kid again? It took a while until the kid got back. The other kids began teasing him that he was not able to taste my dish. But now he's boasting about how many eggs both him and his mum had eaten. 12 eggs. For lunch? I'm feeling sorry for the kid, but I don't want to embarrass him. He's proud of himself. I'm not quite sure if this was normal for this kid and his mum to go visit another house and cook their own food without asking permission, or it's just that I was quite hospitable and they forgot they don't live here, and for goodness sake, 12 eggs for lunch? Folks, it's definitely very strange for someone to come into your home and decide, without asking your permission, to just raid your fridge, take your eggs out and start cooking them for her and her son. This to me doesn't sound just like a normal picky eater situation. I grew up a picky eater, and in these sorts of scenarios, my mother would never enable the behaviour. My mother would be encouraging me to try these sort of foods. Moving on, our final story today comes from user WorriedSoil. This happened a couple of weeks before the whole coronavirus stuff, and let me tell you, I wanted to K-word this entitled mother the minute she came near my brother. Here's the cast. EM, entitled Karen. IC, her innocent child. B, my brother. D, my dad. E, employee. Myself, my dad, and my brother, who is severely autistic, went to this indoor play centre. Just to add, my brother is non-verbal and has the mental capacity of a 2-year-old, even though he's 10. We had been coming to this particular play centre for years and never had an issue with anyone, until Karen stepped in. So B was playing away by a slide that was in a play area when IC came near him, getting ready to go down the slide. B loves trying to play with other kids, and so he went down the slide with her. Just to add, this was the type of slide with multiple lanes for kids to slide down all at once. Anyway, B and IC came down the slide and landed on the mats at the bottom. This is where the issue first began. As the two of them went to stand up, B swayed to the side, knocking into the child, which resulted in both of them falling to the floor. IC and B were perfectly fine after the whole thing. Not a single tear was shed, and the two of them went along with their playing. Me and my dad were sat at a table in the little cafe part of the play centre, drinking our drinks, when we heard a woman begin to screech. Enter Karen, entitled mother, screaming into my brother's face. "Who do you think you are? You hurt my baby!" B had no idea what was going on, so he tried to move away from her. Entitled mother grabs a hold of his arm. "I'm talking to you! You need to say sorry to my baby! You hurt her when you pushed her! Apologise now!" At this point, My dad had started making his way over and pulled the woman's arm off B. Dad says, "What do you think you're doing?" Entitled mother says, "Is this your child? He hurt IC when he pushed her, and now she's upset. Get him to apologise." Innocent child was happily running around, ignoring the situation. My dad sees this and says, "Excuse me, there's nothing wrong with your child. And just to let you know, if you ever put your hands on the son again, I will make you regret it. Can't you see that he has special needs?" Entitled mother, clearly ignoring this. "I don't care what's wrong with this artard. He should apologise to my child now. You shouldn't even bring someone like him here if he's going to hurt kids like my baby." My dad looks about ready to beat the ever-loving crap out of this woman at this point, says, "Who the F do you think you are?" Next thing we know, an employee comes over to the two of them and separates them, warning the entitled mother to stay away from my dad and my brother. Once she gets the entitled mother away, she came over to my dad. Employee says, "Sir, what that woman did is technically assault on a minor. Therefore, we had to call the police to deal with this. I hope you're all right with this." My dad handing my brother over to me so I could try and calm him. "Yes, thank you. I can't believe someone would put their hands on a child like that." Within a few minutes, the police had arrived at the play centre, and my dad and the entitled mother were taken into a room to be questioned by the police. Multiple people at the play centre verified what my dad had said about the entitled mother, and my dad was asked whether or not he wanted to press charges. In the end, he decided not to, because if this woman was convicted, she'd probably have her child taken away from her and risk possible jail time. The play centre gave her a lifelong ban there, and now she has a mark on her record saying that she was accused of assaulting a minor. Entitled mother should consider herself lucky that she got off this time, but if she continues like this in the future, then I hope she gets what she deserves. Folks, people never fail to shock me, honestly. People never fail to disappoint. No matter where you look, there is always some crazy person out there who feels so entitled and like they're on top of the world and that everyone else is beneath them. There are always people like this entitled mother, this entitled Karen, who will go out there and they don't even care if you have special needs. They don't care about anyone else except themselves. They don't even care if you hurt their child or not. They're just looking for a fight. They're just looking for a way to cause a ruckus. If you ask me, this woman was very lucky that these people did not want to press charges or take this any further, because they most certainly could have. This woman had no right to go put her hands on this young autistic boy. She had no right to do that, and quite frankly, it's disgusting that she did. Anyway folks, that's the end of this video. Make sure to hit that like button if you liked the video. It helps me out a lot. Also make sure to subscribe if you're new here and turn on that notification bell. That'll let you know when I post new videos.